So we'll continue our case study analysis if we have some time. So if we don't have some time, we just have to skip that. We just have to skip that. Okay. So today we'll be talking about e-business and e-commerce, and talk about risk and risk management. And then we'll look into financial management. So I just need to ask, even before we continue, I need to ask, have you guys been looking through the past questions? Have you started going through the past questions, and how are you studying? If you are looking through the past questions in the chats, just say yes. If you haven't started yet, just say no. There's nothing wrong with that. I just want to see how you guys are faring so far. If you've started learning the past questions, you can respond yes. If you haven't, you say no. Okay. There are 12 people or so in this class, so okay, looks like a lot of people haven't started yet. I'm not sure why. Wow. You guys are busy. Eh? You are busier than the president. Okay. So let's start with e-business and e-commerce. Okay, so in your own words, like, this is a question I'm throwing to the class. So what do you think is the difference between e-commerce and e-business? Do you think they are different, or are they the same? Your thoughts, please. E-business, e-commerce. There are no right or wrong answers. I'm just trying to see what you guys think. You know, one of the questions that we thought might come in the previous sitting because of the whole COVID thing was something around virtual environments, remote working, e-commerce, you know, because of the whole COVID thing. But I don't think anything like that showed up though. So who knows? I don't know if it might show up or never at all. Is there a difference between e-commerce and e-business?
Yeah, I believe so.
Okay, so what's e-commerce? What's e-business?
Okay, so when you talk about commerce, yeah, just looking at the exchange, you know, sales and purchases. So when you talk about e-commerce, you're looking at proper sales and purchases through technology. But when you talk about e-business, you know, business as a whole, through the whole process of business using technology.
Okay. So the difference here lies in what?
The activities.
Okay, the activities that are performed. Okay. You know, most times a lot of people use. Okay, Gideon, you can speak. Oh. Gideon. Is he raising his hand or as a mistake? Okay, so most times people use e-commerce and e-business interchangeably. You know, e-commerce in simple terms is just buying and selling online. Like, is it Caleb? That's here. Buying and selling online. So purchases and sales. That's e-commerce. That's e-commerce. It's just buying and selling online. But e-business encompasses, it's a much more broader term that encompasses all business or business activities that are conducted online. So e-commerce is a subset of e-business. It's a subset of e-business. So that's to give you a general idea. But let's look at what we have here. So e-commerce can be defined as all electronically mediated exchanges, information exchanges between an organization and its external stakeholders. Right? And when you talk about e-commerce, you can look at e-commerce from the sell side or the buy side. So this is something that you need to understand as well. You can talk about e-commerce from the sell side or the buy side. E-commerce is sell side if it is between an organization and its customers, right? It is buy side if it's between an organization and its suppliers. Very, very simple differentiation. Sell side is between an organization and its customer because you are selling to your customers, right? Buy side is between an organization and its suppliers. So that's the difference. That's the difference between buy side e-commerce and sell side e-commerce. Like e-business, as we already reiterated, was e-business include all aspects of e-commerce. So it's a much broader term. But the thing is, it includes workflows and movements of information within the entity. When you're looking at e-commerce, you're looking at information exchanges between an organization and its external stakeholders. E-business, you're looking at information or workflow movements within the entity. For example, between departments or functions. So you see, that is a way to think about it or look at it. Then we said internal processes are driven by e-business methods as well as external relationships with customers, suppliers, and other external stakeholders. So the difference is what Caleb shared with us. I hope I was able to throw a bit more light on that. I hope I was able to throw a bit more light on that.
Yes, please.
Okay. Now let's move on to e-business and its implication for business strategy. We are looking at strategy. So what is the relationship here? What is the relationship? Again, I'm trying my best so that you guys would pass with flying colors. The previous batch, and a lot of the batches I've taught, they've done amazingly well. And with you guys to be a repeat, certainly. So before I explain this graph, my plan is that if we are able to, this is the 7th lecture, right? I think I have maybe about, how many do I have more? Maybe about 4 lectures more, 3. Is it 4? Maybe 4 or something. I don't know. I can't remember. But if let's say it's 4, most likely it's 4. So if it's 4, then one on the 13th, another on the 20th, another on the 27th, and another in April. And maybe, I'm sure there will be some lectures in between. So let's say we have like 5, because I want to leave some time. I want to try and leave some time for us to go through case studies. That's the key. That's the key to passing the strategic case study exam. That's why I wanted to find out if you guys have been looking at it. But don't wait for me, because maybe by the time you finish, the pre-sim material would have come out and would have to move straight into the pre-sim. So don't wait for me. Go through the past questions. Go through the past questions. Anyway. So let's look at e-business and its implication on strategy. How do you think e-business, this is a nice question. If they decide to bring a case around the whole COVID situation, that would be a fantastic case. If they decide to bring something like that, maybe e-business might feature. So what do you think e-business, the implication it has on business strategy, or how do you think they relate, actually? Does anyone have a clue?
It can affect the strategy in terms of if the business wants to go beyond the boundaries of the country. Let me say, if they want to go global, it will really help them if they want to go global. So if it's in the strategy of the business to go global, it can help achieve that goal.
So it will mean that if you even have e-business in mind and you are developing a strategy, or you are refining your strategy, you must know that different environments would impact your business. So for example, if I'm a Ghanaian supplier and I'm selling in, let's say, because through e-business, I'm able to sell in, let's say, the US, right? Then it means that because my business operates in that sphere, that external environment definitely has an impact on my business. So let's say if something political happens in the US, it has an effect on my business. If something economic happens there, let's say the disposable income of people drop there, it has an impact on my business. So that's a very, very good point. Any other thoughts? Any other thoughts, please? Abigail, Caroline, Priscilla, Thomas. How does e-business affect strategy? Okay. No one wants to talk anyway. So e-business can change or it's not even can change, has changed the nature of the marketplace and made it a lot more globalized, right? So it has extended the market, Without e-business, in the past when there was no internet and when there was nothing like e-business, if you are selling in Accra, your market is restricted to Accra. But today, if you are selling in Accra, your market is not restricted to Accra, because you can put a video of your product on TikTok and it will go viral, and somebody somewhere in Kumasi or somewhere in Sunyani will see your product and may want to order. So e-business has changed the nature of the marketplace. For example, it encourages the globalization of the market and the buying and selling of items on the internet. It's not supposed to be on the internet. So that's something that e-business has brought about. So you might ask, how does this affect strategy? And that's why I explained before. Its implications for business strategy is that right now, when you're developing business strategy, through the e-business model, you have to understand that your business strategy doesn't have to be localized. It should include a global context as well. It should include a global context, or it should have a global context. Then, number two, e-business also changes the nature of the relationships with suppliers and customers. And we'll talk more about this as we delve into the slides. So that's one of the things e-business has done, has, change the nature of relationships with suppliers and customers. But what does this mean? It basically means that you see people contacting suppliers in China to supply them goods through e-business. So you go online, go to Chingwan website and order for stuff, or contact a supplier there, and that's like the benefits that e-business has brought. The benefits that e-business has brought. So just keep in mind how it affects strategy. Keep this in mind. Now let's move on to, as we all know, e-commerce has been a major factor in the globalization of business. The internet and email in particular have made it much easier for suppliers to make contact with customers in geographically distant countries. So this was what we were talking about earlier, right? So today you can make contact with people or suppliers in other countries through the power of the internet. Through the power of the internet. The internet and email have also made it easier for customers to search for suppliers in other countries of the world. To search for suppliers in other countries of the world. We've already mentioned that suppliers and customers can communicate with each other much more quickly. So today it's very, very easy. You can just pick up your phone, go on the internet and talk with a supplier in Azerbaijan. You can easily do that. Easily do that. Okay. So what are the implications of the globalization of markets? What are the implications? When we say the implications, the outcome, what happens when markets are globalized? What happens when markets are globalized? Very, very key. So number one is that an important implication of the globalization of markets is that the size of the markets increases. This we've talked about, right? So in the past, without e-business, if you are located in Hong Kong, that's where you are doing your business, and there was no internet, your market is restricted to within that geographical boundary. But now the market has increased. Once you put your stuff on the internet, you are reaching out to the world. You are reaching out. You are reaching out to the world. Very, very important. But the only thing is that competition will become more international, right? So because you are reaching out to the world, you have competitors to, in other parts of the world competing with you. And so the main rivals are no longer local suppliers, but international or global companies competing for market share. I hope that's clear.
Yes, please.
Okay. Now, efficiency in the global market. For a global market to be efficient, two things must be possible. There must be information and communication. Information and communication must be key. Information and communication must be existing. Companies may need to become international or global in order to compete successfully, and blah, 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 blah. So the implication of global markets, it creates two things. Number one, markets increase and competition becomes a lot more international. Now, what do you think are some of the benefits of e-business? What are some of the benefits of e-business?
Say, can we look at it from the point of operation cost? Because now, because of e-business, people have moved from brick and mortar organizations to virtual organizations.
Mm-hmm.
So
That's
by
it.
this way, yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, so by this way, costs such as operating costs such as rent or trying to build a premise has been, totally dodged or totally avoided.
Wow, that's a very good point. That's a very, very good point. Thank you for sharing that. So yes, that's certainly a benefit. Any other benefits?
Hello, sir.
Yes.
Yeah, I also think that it has helped to reach out to our stakeholders more easily. So by then, the customer services of most companies have improved through e-business channels.
Okay, that's also very true. That's also very true. That's also very true. Thanks for sharing that too. Then let's look for a third one. Who would like to come on board? A third one.
Well, I think through e-business, it has become more convenient for customers to find and buy items at a very fast rate with less stress.
Okay, that's also a good one. So there are several benefits. Several benefits. I'm curious to hear what you guys would say when it comes to the barriers of e-business. But let's go to the benefits. Number one is that it reduces overheads and other operating costs. That's what I think Caleb was mentioning. So it reduces overheads because you are moving from brick and mortar. So what he meant by brick and mortar is today you can literally, if you want to start a school online, you can start a school online. If you want to start a business online, you can start if you want to even do cut hair, be a barber, you can have your shop online. Then when the people book online, then you go to their homes. So you do not necessarily have to have a physical space. That's what he meant by brick and mortar. So that's a nice term, brick and mortar. So maybe if it becomes useful, you can throw it in your exam, throw it somewhere in your exam. Number two, increased capability and the scope of business, So the scope of business is increased. For example, you are able to circumvent barriers to entry to a new geographical market. So what the internet has done is that, barriers to entry have been brought low, especially when you are trying to venture into a new geographical market. Just imagine 50 years ago, 100 years ago, if you're doing business in Ghana, it will be difficult to get into China. But today, you can sit in Ghana and easily do business in China through the power of e-business, through the power of the internet. Yeah. So that makes it very, very, very interesting. Number three is improved customer service, right? So the improved customer service comes in the responsiveness, because of the channels. And that's what Our Lady was saying. because of the channels that e-business provides, the communication is a lot quicker and a lot faster. Also, it improves visibility through websites and other promotional activities. So today the internet has improved visibility. That's why today somebody is a nobody, puts a video on the internet and it suddenly goes viral and they become visible and they become a star. It happens in Ghana all the time. Internet celebrities, happens just like that. So the e-business improves visibility. The next one, which is number 5, is reduces paperwork. That's also true. Number 6 is it improves workforce flexibility. E-business and remote working go together. And they go hand in hand. E-business and remote working is quite easy because of the internet. People can sit home and be working, and different people in different parts of the world can be working easily. It also enhances the control of the supply and customer experience, which is, we already talked about customer service later, and it helps to create some kind of competitive advantage. It creates some kind of competitive advantage. And limits barriers to entry. So these are some of the benefits. There are a lot of them. Now, can you share with me some barriers or disadvantages of e-business, or some barriers to e-business?
I think one, we could look at the delivery time. So for example, I could order something I could order a product from, let's say, China through an online business. And I'm told it will come within 2 months, when I can equally walk to a Ghanaian shop and get it, at the same time. So the delivery time becomes an issue when it comes to e-business.
I see. Does anyone have any objections to that? What do you think? Has e-business made delivery times, has it created challenges when it comes to delivery times? Let me hear your thoughts. Please let me hear your thoughts too.
Okay, I think that usually things that are purchased online are not really emergency goods, which you give some breathing space for time, because you are buying it from outside the country. You know that there'll be some lapse, there'll be some time difference. So those are not really emergency goods where you can just go out and just go and buy it, but you know that okay, this is quality, so you just wait for it to come. So I don't think whether it really be an issue.
I see. Okay, any other barriers?
So can you look at the security, cyber security? Most organizations, startups within the e-business do not really have strong cyber security, therefore are
exposed to hackers.
Yes, exactly, and more vulnerable.
That's a good point. I didn't add to my notes, so please keep that in mind. Now I have some barriers here, but these barriers, as the internet is becoming popular, these barriers are not really barriers. So number 1 is the setup cost, right? So here we said that it can be fairly expensive for a small company to establish a website for selling its products. Now, these days, websites, you can literally get them for free. So But maybe for a small company,
Thank you, Vena.
maybe for a small company, it's fairly expensive. So that could be a barrier to very small companies. The number two is the type of business. Do you agree that it is fairly easier to sell some products on the internet than others? If you agree, say yes. Is it fairly easy to sell some products, some kind of products on the internet than others? If you
Yes,
agree,
please.
so can you give me an example? Can you give me an example of a product that can you please mute your microphone, please? Oh.
Sir, I believe that you should, since you are the host, you should have a button where you can mute all participants. I think if you can do that.
Oh. Okay. Yeah, so okay, that's good. That's good. I'll be able to find that. Thank you, Caleb.
You're welcome, sir.
Why does it go back? Anyway. So there are certain kinds of products that are easier to sell. Yeah, so Lorraine is saying that these days it's easier, it's equally the same, it's equally easier to sell computers and clothing online. So the example is outmoded. You know, so what are some items that are easier to sell online than others? Which product would you consider difficult to sell online today? Any idea? If you don't want to talk, you can type it. Which item? Is there any product that you think is difficult to sell online today? Is there anything like that? Okay. I don't think anyone wants to talk.
So I believe that. Please go on.
Okay, we can go on.
Okay, I was thinking about the value of the product you are selling. You know, if the cost is too much, you know, and it has a very narrow market, it will somehow be difficult for it, you know, to go through. But if it has a large market, like what Fafa said, what Lauren said, like clothing, you know, a lot of people buy clothing, so that one is much easier than, you know, a more expensive, like a specific brand of car or something.
Okay, so what